Welcome back, guys. I'm glad you could stop by. I'm Zell, and today we're going to talk about the Swiss Army Minichamp. It's one of the larger of the 58mm Swiss Army knives, and definitely has a lot of blades on it for such a small knife. So why don't you go on in here a little closer, we'll take a look at it. The Victorinox Minichamp, like the rest of the 58mm Swiss Army knives, has ABS scales. These happen to be classic Swiss Army red with their emblem there. Look pretty nice. And also has the tweezers on the end of it, as we've talked about before. These are nice tweezers. Now, on the other side of this knife, unlike most of the rest of them, we have a pin. That's just a standard ballpoint pen. Slides in and out of the knife with this little tab here. And it writes well. I wish you could get a black refill for it, and unfortunately right now you can't. Going through a few of the numbers, the length on this knife, like the rest of them, is 2.3 inches. It is the chubbiest model at 0.58 inches. And also the tallest model by just a hair at 0.78 inches. And it's also the heaviest, going back to that being chubby. It's 1.58 ounces, which makes it a little over half an ounce heavier than the Rambler, and 3/4 of an ounce heavier, a little over 3/4 of an ounce heavier than a classic SD. Going through the implements on the knife, we have a little penknife blade, of course. It's about 1.56 inches long with a cutting edge of about 1.3 inches. Swiss Army steel seems to be pretty good for a knife this size. Hold an edge for quite a while as long as you're not putting it in hard use. So standard use, I don't sharpen these knives very often, and they are generally plenty sharp to take care of whatever I need. Next up, we have the bottle opener, wire stripper, and Phillips screwdriver. And like with the Rambler, that Phillips screwdriver is magnetic. The Phillips screwdriver is shaped very well. Whoever designed that really knew what they were doing. It will tighten down or loosen screws much larger than you would believe that little screwdriver tip would do. Okay, moving on. We have the scissors, and as I've said before, these little scissors last a very long time and stay sharp for a very long time. Turning the knife over, we have a nail file with a profile here on the end to clean your nails with. Next up, we have what Swiss Army calls an emergency blade, or a letter opener, maybe an emergency letter opener. Anyhow, it's another blade, and it's got a bit of a drop at the end of it. And I haven't really found a specific use for it, but it's another blade on the knife. Next up, we have what looks like a miniature gut hook. I suppose if you were out squirrel hunting, that might be big enough to take care of it. But what they call it is an orange peeler and a scraper. Rather sharp edge right there on it, and that would work good to peel your oranges with. And there's another use for this thing that we'll get to here in just a couple of minutes. And then we have the flat blade screwdriver here on the end, and we have some markings, metric markings and inch markings on this blade. Nothing on the other side, in case you need to take a quick measurement. The last implement we have is what Swiss Army calls a cuticle pusher. I've got to tell you, whenever I was in the cutlery shop and looked at one of these for the first time, I'm going through the blades and I open that up, And the first thing I thought was, why in the world is there a Coke spoon on a Swiss Army knife? Never done Coke, but I've seen plenty of movies, and I know what it is. Now, we did decide we'd be politically correct and we should call it a snuff spoon instead of a Coke spoon. But Swiss Army calls it a cuticle pusher. Now, if you guys didn't know, my wife does nail art videos over at Susie Nails It. And she looked over this cuticle pusher and was not terribly impressed. So, I think we'll stick with snuff spoon. Alright guys, I told you that there was another use for this gut hook / orange peeler / scraper tool, and if this works right, this is what it is. Makes getting into these bubble packs considerably easier. And this is just a cheap Walmart knife. We may do a video on it later. The idea was just to get a bubble pack so I could show you guys that. One last thing, guys, I was able to get one of these in this translucent orange. They're not available from Swiss Army, but if you do a little looking around the internet, I found this one on eBay. There are some companies out there that swap the scales so that you can get some of the different colors and some of the different features that Victorinox has had throughout the years. And that's what this is. One of the other knives, or maybe this knife, I don't know, at some point had orange scales, and they put a set on this one. So what'd you think, guys? Victorinox sure did stuff a lot into this little knife. And because of that, it's a bit heavy. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a person that can only carry one knife, an office worker or something where having a knife clipped in your pocket is not going to work for you, then this may be the right choice. If, however, you have the ability to have a knife and a sheath on your belt or clipped in your pocket, I think it may be a little bit overkill. Now, some of the implements on it do make it a very nice desk knife. You know, having that letter opener and this little gut hook contraption. You know, got to peel your oranges, right? So you got to make up your own mind about it. Now, I have two of them, and I do carry them on occasion, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time I carry one of the smaller, lighter of the 58mm knives, and we'll talk about that in the next video. Alright, we have a Shiner Ruby Redbird, brewed in Shiner, Texas. I'm not even going to attempt the name of the brewery. It's spelled S-P-O-E-T-Z-L. Somebody knows how to pronounce that? Let me know. Anyhow, as tradition dictates, we have a bottle opener, and we got to try it. Oh, that's a very soft top on this one. There we go. I'll show you that before I try this beer. That top on this one was so soft that it just completely ripped that. Anyhow, while I'm having a sip here, if you want to click that like, share, or subscribe button, that would be awesome. That's interesting. I think I like it. It's going to take a few more sips to find out for sure. Appreciate you guys stopping by. And we got more in store, guys, so I'll see you next time.